Hello everybody, welcome into the Invest Answers Weekly Q&A. It's my favorite time of the week. So thank you all for being here. Let me grab my questions. Hang on. So the first question is from Seda, and Seda said, "Hey James, thanks man for today's video. It was awesome. But my question is, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, what would the price be for Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, MicroStrategy, Hut 8, Tesla, and others?" So this is a fun question. I love it. And I've actually done the math already, so it's actually an easy question. So I'm starting with the easy ones today. First of all, MicroStrategy would be worth about $8,635 a share, which would be about a 1,300% gain. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust would go to about $956 a share, about a 1,900% gain, and assuming it continues as it is right now with about a 2% management fee. That's all going to change though when it converts to an ETF, and I have a video coming out about that next week. Tesla would be worth, well, Tesla's amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheet is so small, it's kind of negligible, so it doesn't really have an impact on the overall market value. But according to my models, Tesla in the next 10 years will be worth somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a share. It's a big range because there are so many unknowns regarding FSD and their energy business, etc. So stay tuned for that. Again, detailed analysis coming again in addition to that one. What was the other? Hut 8. Hut 8 is the other one. I believe Hut 8 will go to about $41 a share, assuming they amass another 1,000 Bitcoin at least over the next 10 years, which will bring their total of Bitcoin to over 4,000. And that would be a 700% gain in 10 years. Remember, it's all very good. So quick recap of that. MicroStrategy will go up about 1,346%, GBTC 1,900%, Tesla between 585 and 1,270%, and Hut 8 would be a 700% gain. So I know everybody wants huge gains in just a week or a month, but a 700% gain over 10 years is a phenomenal result. So thank you, Seda, for the question. Great question. The next question is from Morton W. This question is, what's the reason that we don't value the likes of Ethereum and ADA in Bitcoin value? To me, it makes more sense than doing it in US dollars, since I suppose we all believe that Bitcoin is the future standard. So great question. It's so true, and I love this, and I already do it. So if I look at a house or a car or a piece of art, I calculate the cost in my head in Bitcoin terms, and I've been doing that since last year. So it's kind of automatic. So imagine a $1,000 piece of art or a $50,000 Model Y or Cybertruck. I know in 10 years that could be $1 million car or a $20,000 piece of art in terms of the opportunity cost of what I've spent. And that makes it very expensive. So it's good to think in terms of these timeframes. But that being said as well, we all have to live, and life is short. So it's fine to live a little bit. One Patreon member said to me, hey, he did really well in the trade, and he made enough to get his dream, which was to buy a Ferrari from a trade. And I was going back and forth, and I said, well, why not save the money and invest it in something else, and then buy a Ferrari in 5 years? And he said, I need to live. So that was an interesting perspective. And yeah, there's no point in pausing life for the next 10 years because you never know what's going to happen. So now the real question, though, in terms of, you've opened up a can of worms with this question. In terms of Ethereum, all signals are pointing to the premise that we are in the final cycle of the end of the fiat-based system, which has rapidly become unsustainable because of the money printing that's actually happening. Now, Ray Dalio has been saying this for a long time, as well as many others, but I believe we also need to think not in terms of what things cost in terms of Bitcoin, but maybe more importantly, what they cost in terms of Ethereum. So again, that Tesla is now 20 ETH. A year from now, that 20 ETH is easily worth $200,000. So great question. Thank you for that. Now on to question number 3. This is a good one. This is from Joshua Ledbetter. If you had half a Bitcoin and enough Ethereum to buy another half Bitcoin, would you sell the Ethereum to ensure you could own a full Bitcoin? So this is a real prickly one and a very clever question. Obviously, as you know, I believe in being a whole coiner will put you in a very rarefied territory on Earth because there'll never be more than 400,000 whole coiners by my calculations. That being said, though, typically if Bitcoin goes up by 500%, Ethereum goes up by 700%. So the performance of Ethereum will always be a little bit higher, but it'll be more risky. So it could go down further. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, Raoul Pal is even considering that he may even sell some of his Bitcoin to buy Ethereum because he's become even more bullish on the Ethereum story than Bitcoin, which is kind of staggering. So net, in answer to your question, it depends on your appetite for risk. If you are not risk averse and open to taking on a little more risk and you have the time frame like 3 to 5 years plus, I'd say keep your Ethereum and get the half a Bitcoin later, because I think Ethereum could run faster and harder. So in that perspective, as you know, if you also have enough Ethereum to keep some Ethereum and get that half a Bitcoin, always think of that ratio of 75% Bitcoin, 25% Ethereum, which is very quickly becoming 70% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum because of the appreciation of Ethereum going up. Who knows? A couple of months from now, it could be 65-35. So thank you for the question. Okay. The next question is from Chuck Henry. Do you have any thoughts on companies that would be successful in the shared autonomous vehicle industry? So obviously, my number one thought would always be Tesla. They have a huge first mover advantage. They have incredible AI. They've got billions of miles under their belt. And anybody who's ever bet against Elon Musk has lost. So my number one bet, of course, would be Tesla. They will win the day, if anybody wins the day from fully autonomous vehicles. The number two player in my mind is Baidu. This is the Google of China. If any of you know me on Patreon, you know I'm kind of bullish on Baidu as a small position. I also have Google. But they are investing all of their profits from the search business into autonomous vehicle development, which is huge. So I think that's one to watch. They're also being supported by the Chinese government, which the Chinese government wants to win at everything they do. So that's a good thing too. There's another company as well called Velodyne LiDAR. That's an undervalued LiDAR play. Not that I believe LiDAR is the future, but some autonomous vehicles will use LiDAR as they go forward. So that would be another play. And I think their value and forward PE and PEG ratio, which I'm going to talk about as well in another video coming up this week, is very attractive. Not investment advice, of course, but one to watch. Another one is General Motors. Even though it's a traditional car company, their Cruise unit is said to be making some inroads, and some people like to play that. I think, why play GM when you can play Tesla? Tesla's a safer bet. And the fifth one I'd say would be NXP Semiconductor, ticker is NXPI. This is the top semiconductor maker for the automobile industry. They do safety semiconductors as well as infotainment semiconductors. And they are also very reasonably priced. Again, very good PEG ratio. But literally, the way I would play it is Tesla first, and a little bit of Baidu second. So, interesting question. So the next question is from Linda Brown. So, Linda Brown asks, what's going on with Hut 8? They own 3,000 BTC and the stock is down a ton. Can you please explain why you love this stock? So first of all, Linda, great question. If you've watched any of my mining videos, I always say mining is a cutthroat business, and why buy a mining stock when you can own Ethereum or Bitcoin directly? That was always my stance. I never said I love the stock, but of all the mining stocks, this is the best. And this is the best because of their management team, because they have over 3,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And I believe right now, when I made that first video, HUD 8 was trading at $4. It's now at $6. So it's up 50% since that video. So it's still not that bad. I know people want things to move a lot faster, but that's just not the way of the world. It's not sustainable over time. And I do believe HUD 8 is a $12 stock. And by the way, all these numbers I mentioned are in Canadian dollars, not US dollars. So anyway, just to reiterate for everybody out there, I was never a fan of mining stocks. You guys all asked for me to analyze the top mining stocks. That's what I did. My conclusion was HUD 8 was the best value from my financial analysis. So thank you for the question, Linda. Okay, second last question before we go into the fun question is from Jerome Kentler. Why does a lower hash rate mean a lower Bitcoin price? So nobody is really sure, but I have my theories. First of all, the higher the hash rate means, of course, the more resources that are being devoted to the process, transactions on the blockchain. And this makes the network more resilient and safer against attacks from a malicious force, like a hacker or a government or whatever that wants to control more than 51%. So, but the reason, in my humble opinion, is why price follows the hash rate is because miners are mercenaries. They follow the money. They go where the money is. They pack up their mining gear and they mine wherever they can get the cheapest electricity. They mine whatever they can get the best return on. That could be Bitcoin, that could be Ethereum, etc. So from that perspective, when these people jump in, they go into a very competitive environment, but they go in because they have the belief that the Bitcoin price and the reward down the line will be better than it is today. So an increase in hash rate thus means miners are jumping in, which means Bitcoin is more scarce, and that drives price up, which in turn attracts more miners who are seeking to get in on these significant returns. My theory. And I'm open to debate. Please add your comments below. That's just one theory. Some people, by the way, some people believe price follows the hash rate. Some people believe hash rate follows the price. I believe price follows the hash rate. So final question is from Ryan M. I'd like to know what kind of motorcycle you have in your garage. It seems obvious that there must be one there. Great question, Ryan. So this is an interesting, fun question of the week. So I used to ride a Honda VFR, which is a 750 V-twin, and a Kawasaki Ninja. I had two bikes, and I rode them in Switzerland. I used to ride them across mountain passes in the Swiss Alps with different bike clubs, and we'd do crazy things for a long time. But when I first came to the United States, and I saw how people drive cars, and no offense to any drivers out there, but I felt they didn't respect motorcyclists enough, and I like to be risk averse, and I felt, hey, me riding a bike in the US was putting my life in other people's hands, and I didn't want to take that risk. However, I do charter motorcycles on occasion. I've rented Harleys in Vegas and things like that, but my favorite thing to do is dirt bikes in tropical rainforests like Puerto Rico. So if anybody's up for a ride one day, let's go, let's do it. So big thank you to everybody, as usual. Big thank you to all the support, everybody on Patreon. Please don't sign up till the 1st of May because the way Patreon works, as I mentioned before, it bills at the 1st of every month. So if you sign up today, it'll bill you again the 1st of the month. So please don't do that. And watch for the scammers as always. And if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe. Back to our regular programming and some really interesting videos coming up next week. So look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you all.